You could have an incredibly productive week. You hit your workouts, you did your work, you cleaned your space, and you didn't waste time. But the exact second your head hits the pillow at night, that quiet voice still creeps in to tell you that you aren't doing enough. You're chasing a finish line that doesn't exist. You look at your life, and on paper, you're doing the right things. You're making progress. But internally, it feels like you're running a race where everyone else started 10 miles ahead of you. And no matter how fast you sprint or how hard you work, the gap only gets wider. It's this constant low humming anxiety that you are somehow wasting your youth, that you are falling behind. But behind who exactly? Well, let's look at what's actually happening when you get that feeling. We live in a world where you can't just live your life in peace anymore. Every time you open your phone, you are blasted with the curated, polished, top 1% moments of thousands of other people's lives. You're scrolling late at night, tired from a long day, and you see some teenage kid in the gym with perfect lighting and talking about his six-figure side hustle. Or you see someone from your old school posting about their new car, their perfect friend group, or their high-paying job. And your brain does something incredibly unfair. It takes your raw, unedited, behind the scenes footage, the days that you've felt tired, the days that you've struggled to get out of bed, all those small failures, and it compares them to their highly edited, highly polished highlight reel. You're comparing your average day to their perfect day. And of course, you're going to lose that matchup every single time. And the worst part is how it ruins the things you should actually be proud of. Maybe you finally hit a milestone you've been working toward for months. Maybe you finally got some traction on a project, or you got your room clean and kept it that way for a week. For about 5 minutes, you feel good. You feel like you're finally getting your life together. But then you look online, or you just hear about what someone else is doing. And that achievement instantly turns to ash in your mouth. You tell yourself, yeah, but it's not enough. Look at what they're doing. You're literally robbing yourself of your own victories because you're measuring your progress with someone else's yardstick. So, I we've turned our life into a video game where we are constantly checking our stats, our views, our bank accounts, our grades, and we treat them like a scorecard for our worth as a human being, when we've actually completely forgotten how to play the game. And the scariest part is, if you don't break out of this loop, you'll spend your entire life feeling like a failure, even while you're actively winning. Let me give you an example of how absurd this mental trap actually is. So it was a while ago. I was sitting in the dentist chair, and I was just waiting for them to finish up. And the dentist was like, "How old are you?" And I told her I was 16 at the time. And she smiled and she was like, "Oh, that's cool. My daughter is 17. She's graduating early, and she's going to this private school in Lewiston." And Lewiston is a town that's not far from me. It's about like a half an hour away. She's going to be an ultrasound tech. It's only 2 years of school, and she's going to be making $130,000 a year as soon as she's done. And I sat there staring at the ceiling, with she's got like her fingers and all the tools in my mouth, and my brain instantly went into like that panic mode. And I was like, I don't care about being an ultrasound tech. I've never thought about it once in my life, but suddenly this quiet, toxic voice in my head was like, wait, why am I not doing that? Am I falling behind? Should I become an ultrasound tech? And, as we're leaving, I literally get in the car with my mom and I asked her if I should. All because some girl I've never met on a career path I don't want was on a timeline that was ahead of me. And we do this consistently. We are so desperate for freedom, for success, to build muscle, to have money, to be a jack of all trades, who does cool things with friends and has nobody telling them what to do. We crave that ultimate autonomy, but because we want it so badly, we let every random story, every digital highlight reel, and every minor setback convince us that we are failing. Think about how this plays out in real time. You put your heart into a project. You write a script, you record, you edit, you try to make the gameplay engaging, you post it, and it hits 100 views. And for a second, you feel that spark and you think, okay, I'm moving, I'm actually doing this. And then your next video drops, and it gets 7 views. So that disappointment is like a punch to the chest. It makes you want to close your laptop, throw your hands up, and say, why am I even trying? What's the point of working on the next one? That is the exact moment the illusion wins. Because when you let that number dictate your youth, when you get a bad grade on one thing, when you don't progress in the gym like you want, when things just don't feel like they're going your way, that's because you're letting a number dictate your worth. You're letting a computer code tell you if your life is worth moving forward or backward. You're letting a teacher tell you what you can and cannot do. But here's the truth. Consistency isn't about never feeling disappointed. It's about looking at that 73 you got in a test and saying, yeah, that sucks, but I know where I'm going. It's about putting the belief that you will succeed at the very front of your brain and refusing to let a temporary dip dictate your self-worth. You see, the pressure we feel is almost entirely fake. Your life right now is safe. You're actively moving forward, but you're letting the speed of other people's timelines make you feel like you're standing still. Those kids on your feed who look like they have the perfect life, the money, the complete freedom, they're showing you a tiny polished slice of their reality. They aren't showing you the hours they spend locked in a room, the crushing pressure they feel to maintain that image, or the fact that many of them have traded their actual youth just to be successful looking on a screen. If you chase their version of freedom, you'll never actually be free, because you'll always be a slave to the next metric, the next milestone, and the next person who is doing a little bit better than you are. So, how do we actually break the trap? Stop focusing on the outputs. Stop obsessing over everyone else's grades. Stop obsessing over how much money everybody else has. Stop obsessing over the metrics of everyone else. You can't control your views, the algorithm, the dollar amounts, the speed of everyone else's timeline. And you put 100% of your focus into the inputs. You need to focus on what you actually give to the day. Because in reality, you only get back what you are willing to put in. To me, true freedom isn't about being lazy. It's not about doing nothing. Freedom is waking up with no alarm, looking at the day ahead and realizing, I don't technically have to do a single thing today, but I have the choice. And then you choose to do the hard things anyway. You wake up and choose to make the food that fits your calories, not because someone is forcing you to diet, but because you want to respect your body. You stretch because you want to feel good. You go to the gym and lift heavy weights because you want to build muscle and look good. You sit down at your desk and lock in on a project or work on your YouTube channel because you want to be successful. You aren't doing any of this because a boss or a parent or some random influencer on TikTok told you to. You're doing it because you're a free human being and you choose to build a life that you actually care about. That is the ultimate cheat code. The second you realize that you are in complete control of your choices, the illusion of feeling behind completely vanishes. How can you be behind when you are the one running the race? When I was writing that felt like a banger of a line. So, if you want to double tap and go back 10 seconds and hear that again, go ahead. When you get a setback, when a video hits 7 views instead of 100, or a sale falls through, or you have a bad workout, it doesn't mean you're failing. It's just a data point. It's just part of the process. You don't quit. You adjust. You work on your delivery. You can make your scripts punchier. You make your videos better. And you keep moving. You do it because you have absolute faith in where you are going. You put that belief at the very front of your brain, and you don't doubt it. Stop letting other people's timelines dictate your worth. Ground yourself in your own reality. Make your choices, lock in, and let the rest of the world worry about their scorecard. If you're constantly feeling this pressure, it's incredibly easy to start isolating yourself. And you'll tell yourself you'll hang out with people or build a social circle after you get successful, after you look perfect, or after you have more money. But hiding away until you measure up is a dangerous trap of its own. I did actually make a video talking about that specific problem and why building real connections does feel hard. If you want to check that out, it will be on my channel. Thank you.